It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Welcome to The Sam Lesante Show, my friends. November 7th, very important day. Please go and vote. It's important, all counties, but the city of Hazleton, we have a mayoral race. Jeff Cusat is the current mayor. He's here today to tell us many things that have been accomplished in the city of Hazleton. You know, Hazleton is important for this area because as Hazleton goes, the surrounding area is affected by it. Mayor Cusat, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Interesting things happening in this country, huh?
Yes.
Particularly in Hazleton.
Yeah, a lot of good things.
You know, how many years have you been in business there?
Almost Cusat's?
Yeah.
86.
86, you know. Now, was it your grandfather who was very active in politics?
Yeah, my great uncle Bellhop.
Yeah, Bellhop, yeah. So when did you get involved in politics?
2011.
Yeah. Why?
I was doing fundraisers for Helping Hands, the Cancer Society, and I was approached by the LCB saying that we were violating certain laws that affected the community. So they asked me to go to the city and ask City Council and the mayor to help. I did. Ultimately, it didn't work out. And I just wanted to be able to help small businesses and charities at the same time. And I became more involved and I learned what was going on, and I just thought maybe I could make a difference. So
at that time, there were a lot of challenges that the city of Hazleton was going through, correct?
I believe the city was, you know, in a little bit of turmoil, you know, a lot of things not going the way that older Hazletonians were used to.
So currently, in the city of Hazleton, a lot of things are happening, and that's what you're here today to let the public know just exactly what is going on, okay? You have the concerns about safety, potholes, recreational facilities, and conditions of downtown, okay?
They were the original. When I ran in 2011 and 2015, those topics seemed to be the most concerning to people. When you talk to people, and I talked to a lot of people at the restaurant, you know, I was bartending, I was cooking, people would walk in, and we were talking, like, why is this like this, why is that like that? And that's where I got, you know, to start looking into it. And I wanted to see why things were, and if there's anything that we could do to help. And those four things just kept coming up over and over.
In order for you to accomplish anything, I know in order for me to have the success that we have with SSP-TV, you have to put the right people in positions, okay? And when you look at, you know, who you have in different areas, that's important because they're the ones that fulfill what you would like to have done. Am I correct in saying?
Yes, it's important to have people around you that have the same vision, that you trust will get the job done, and that have your back and willing to put the same work effort into it that you are.
Let's talk about the police department, and you know, I think, you know, let's talk about what happened there.
Well, I mean, years ago we were the laughingstock of the local police departments. You know, we had cars that were beat up, we had no technology. The morale was really low, and right now we're like the envy of all local police departments. We have all the newest technology. We're out there. We're aggressively fighting crimes, and we're just doing everything that's out there to help make it a safer city. You know, we're now at our all-time high. We currently have 48 officers plus 3 in the academy, which will be 51. You know, the previous high was 45 all time. So we're well above that. You know, we want to try to get to 56 or 60 in the near future, but I mean, we're very happy where our staffing levels are now, especially what's going around the country where people can't get any officers. So, you know, we're happy to be evolving and improving, you know, but, you know, always looking forward.
How is it that you were able to attract these people? Because you're right, there's a lot of people looking for police women and men.
Well, we have a very diverse department right now. We have more female officers and minority officers than ever before. I believe when I came into office, there was only 2 ever females, and now I believe we have 6. The Latino, Spanish-speaking officers, I believe we have 8. So we're really out there and making things that people want to be part of. And we have the newest technology. We have like the SWAT team. We just bought the armored rescue vehicle. We have drones, in-car computers. We have, the best tool that we ever came up with was the flock camera system.
Now, what is that?
That is a license plate reading camera system. What I envisioned was to put a ring around the city, and then also in hotspots. So their cameras, like when you go through the toll booths, they just take a still shot of every vehicle that passes. So we're not monitoring you, we're not looking for speeding tickets, we're just taking snapshots of the vehicles coming in. So any vehicle that has been involved in a crime, that may be have an Amber Alert out for, stolen plate, the wrong plate on the car. If something happens, we could just look these vehicles up. If we're looking for a blue pickup truck, you just type in there blue pickup truck.
Wow.
And it'll show you every car that entered the city at a given time. And this camera system now has evolved into the surrounding areas. We're going further and further out. Actually, myself and the Hazleton Police Department will be presenting next week at the Pennsylvania Municipal League our success stories on how many stolen vehicles we found with this. The Walmart shooter, we got 5 minutes after we left Walmart driving down Diamond Avenue. Our machine pinged, and we got the guy arrested on Diamond Avenue.
So, other words, if I committed a crime in New York or New
Yes.
Jersey, okay, and I'm going to come to Hazleton because I have relatives here or whatever to hide, okay, so they set out as they say, blue Cadillac or whatever license plate, and then what do they get? Like, where are the cameras? I mean,
Right now there's 60 inside this, right around the city.
you're kidding me.
No, they're little black cameras on poles. They're strategically placed. There's not one entrance or exit that you could come through without getting your video or photo taken. Then we also have some in hotspots. We put them at the hospital, but every municipality around us is now getting to it. I've just met with Mayor Brown up in Wilkes-Barre. They're considering putting them in. And people are aware of it. From New York, Philly, they're aware of this now, that you come here, we're going to get you, because it's going to click. And it goes to every officer's phone. We get the text message, boom, flock camera system, this car's been identified. And it'll keep tracking it through the city. It's an amazing system that we came up with, and we'll just keep improving on it. And we just added almost 200 gunshot detection systems.
How's that work?
That's great. So if a sound goes off that would be believed to be a gunshot, every officer is again notified via text of the specific camera that heard it, and then all the surrounding cameras that also have heard it. So you can narrow down the location. It gives you an address of where it believes the gunshot came from.
Wow, and it's that high tech.
Yes.
All right, so with all these hundreds of pictures that are being taken, Jeff.
Millions.
Wow, millions of pictures. How does it know that one blue Cadillac coming in, when it takes a shot of that? Is it in a computer system that they have to be alerted, or how does that work?
There's a system that the police departments all utilize. So anytime you have a vehicle of interest, you type it in there and put in there that there might be a blue Cadillac with ABC 123 or AB partial license plates, and it'll just track everybody that comes. Now there's a lot of vehicles that might come in that are similar to it, but you could track it back and forth, and we've been very successful with out of state crimes coming through the city and picking them up.
Now, when you say people know that, have you been promoting that and letting people know that you come here, look, you're going to be watching?
The word spreads fast.
Yeah.
It's a system that's almost impenetrable. Like I said, there's not one way in or out without being photographed.
Now, you said Walmart, you got the person who was a shooter.
The shooter at Walmart.
What other things have you?
Stolen cars, tons of stolen cars. The stolen license plates, a lot of the temporary tags, stuff like that, they come through and you grab, It's just an amazing system that the thieves, car thieves, the auto part,
Yeah.
the auto stores that were getting robbed. Just things like that. And working with other municipalities is just it's really good system.
And see, I think that's fantastic because what happens is once the word gets out, listen, you're gonna get, you're gonna get caught. So you better not mess around in the city of Hazleton. Drones. Okay, what have you used them for?
We've actually been called out of the city multiple times by other departments to ask for help. Child wandering in the woods, an Alzheimer's patient wandered through, a suicide victim out in the middle of the woods. We had to go find a police officer that was out in the woods chasing an individual. So multiple times we've been asked to come out and support other departments with the drones.
Getting to the police department, okay. Many years ago, I remember I used to see a lot of the policemen walking the cities, walking their beats, and walking. Have you utilized that in the city of Hazleton?
When the staffing allows for it, we have. A lot of times that our shifts, we might only have 3-4 guys on the shift, and that the call volume, we don't have the opportunity to walk the streets as much as we want. We do park patrols. We do at least drive past the playgrounds every day. A lot of times we try to get to the playgrounds and get out and walk through them, talk to individuals. Yeah. So we're trying to do as much as we can, but as the weather gets nicer, we get more calls. There's more accidents, there's more noise complaints. So the times that we can walk, a lot of times we're just so busy that we don't have the opportunity to get out there and walk as much as we would like to.
So you hear, Jeff, that Hazleton, particularly for people who have not come into Hazleton, okay? Some people don't want to come into Hazleton because they're fearful. Some people feel that the city of Hazleton's unsafe. What do you say to the people who think that way?
We have a bad rap. It's easy to say that there's trouble in one area. The evidence doesn't reflect that. We're not these big cities where the violence is running rampant through the city, and it's just that we have a bad reputation, and it's unwarranted. Hazleton is very safe.
The conception sometimes, but I think you've been changing that conception around, haven't you not?
Yeah, my department's working really hard to change our image. We just started. We have a public information officer now for the first time ever. So we've been sending out more press releases. We have the officer going to more schools and talking to more groups and just informing people of what's going on and more interaction with the community to try to help that relationship.
Fire department.
We are at the highest levels since the 80s, the late 80s.
What do you mean the highest levels?
The highest staffing levels. Okay. We actually are able to man all of the fire stations, which gives us coverage on both sides of the railroad tracks. So it's a safer environment. We have new fire engines. We bought 3 new engines, and I have a new ladder truck coming in, all without using tax money. We were able to acquire these engines. When we were in COVID and interest rates came down, I made the suggestion, let's buy 3 engines and they were at 0% at the time when we ordered them. I ended up using ARPA funds, so we got them completely free. But right now, if we would be ordering them now, it would be $1 million more.
Oh my gosh!
The rate.
These trucks are not cheap.
No, they're between $600,000 and I think $1.1 million for the ladder truck.
Wow.
So they do have about a 15 to 20 year lifespan on them. So everything we're doing is trying to build for the future, to put the future administrations in a position where they could succeed. We're doing that with all our departments. We're doing that with the paving projects. We're just looking for the future and trying to give guidance.
What do you see as major concerns right now, Jeff? Because you want to be reelected, and why should they put you back in the office again? What are some of the major concerns? You seem to been working pretty well with the police department. You got the fire department and everything. What are areas now that you feel are concerning?
The major concern I have moving forward is actually safe housing. The city of Hazleton is is moving along so rapidly, and there's not enough residents for people. And the safety concern comes in where people are having conversions. They're illegally converting their homes into smaller living quarters. So we are working with developers to try to build new development, like housing development. So that's why we came up with developing David Road up in the terrace. That's going to split an old paper street apart and make 2 separate housing developments. We're working with a developer to put in 300 townhomes, 196 apartments out on Stockton Road. The Altamont should be opening in the next month or two. You see the Poplar Street School was turned into 18 apartments. We fixed up, the land bank purchased the building on Broad Street, the old Legion building, and we just turned that over to a developer. So like housing is going to be our really major concern moving forward.
Okay, and they're all in the city of Hazleton.
Correct.
Okay, so that certainly improves the tax base, doesn't it?
Correct.
Okay, potholes and some of the roads. And I've been going through Hazleton, and I'm seeing some areas where you really did a great job in paving. Okay, what can we look for now?
When I came into office, there was $0 put into the general fund for paving. Right now we have it up to about $400,000 in the general fund, but we have been looking to utilize all types of money to improve on the city. We did the certain sections up in the Heights, because the Heights area is not CDBG eligible. We were never able to use those funds to fix the streets up there. So they've been neglected for 40 years. So this year we were able to get an LSA grant, and we did the Heights area. We went and we used the liquid fuel money and future allocations at a low interest loan to do the Heights Terrace section. Then we used CDBG. We're using CDBG currently to do the northeast section of town. Over in the northwest section, we're using ARPA money in the form of stormwater and infrastructure, part of the ARPA funds. So we're trying to utilize the funds that are available, because you can't just take money and just use it anywhere. So depending on which section of town it is, that's the types of money we could use. So we have paved nearly 40 miles. We have about 40 miles of newly paved road of 114 miles that are in the city. We have 40 miles of it. It was about $13 to $14 million we spent. That's almost $3.5, $4 million a year. In the past, we were able to spend $400,000. Eventually this money is going to run out, and we have to try to get council to approve putting more money into the budget so we can maintain this progress we're making. But we have a lot of good streets. Yeah. We started on the mains. Yeah. And then we're trying to do the sections of town, and then the ultimate goal is to have a 20-year program where, when we get it all done, year one you do this section, year two, and be able to move around the city. Maintain. Yes. So the future can, and we also came up with an agreement with the utility companies where they pay us when they have a little cut. They pay us the repair money. We could bundle all that money together and do whole streets. I helped create an ordinance now that if you cut one of those new streets in the first 6 years that's new, they have to pave curb to curb in minimum of 50 feet. It takes a couple months for the rough patch to settle, and then you can go in there and pave it. But we're ensuring our investment. So when they come in, they have to make a decision. If they're going to cut it, they're going to be spending that money to improve. But we're looking for the long term.
Folks, I'm talking to Jeff Cusat, running for re-election in Hazleton, learning a lot as to what has been internally working. We come back, there's a lot more to be said that is happening in Hazleton, and what Jeff would like to do if he's re-elected. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. 24/7, ssptv.com. All of our local neighborhood shows are there. Thank you once again for making the Sam Lesante Show the #1 talk show in northeastern Pennsylvania. I really appreciate it. And that's coming from Susquehanna Polling and Research, the scientific poll. My guest is Jeff Cusat. He is the current mayor of Hazleton and looking to become re-elected. You're a great family man. You like to get people together and have a lot of activity. I mean, and you know, you've shown that throughout the years, even before you became mayor. So tell me what you're doing to try to get these areas, families together and work and have fun.
It's very important to have a family atmosphere. So when we came into office, we wanted to improve all of the recreation sites and create new ones. And then we also wanted to have events where people could come together. Even if you can't speak the same language, you know, the kids could get together and play and grow and learn from others. So it was very important to us to renovate playgrounds. And we did that. We renovated nearly every playground. You know, we just cut the ribbon the last week, 2 weeks ago, on the all-inclusive playground up at City View Park. I mean, City View Park has become a destination place.
Yeah, you like that. You really love that part.
I do. You know, it was basically a blank canvas when I came in. And now we have a stage and 5 pavilions. You know, we could have concerts. So I'll have to get into that. But concerts, we have the dog park. I have the rodeo up there. Now we have an all-inclusive playground where kids of all levels of activity could play together. And we're actually planning an expansion there already. We are doing an environmental study now to put in an ice cream stand and a miniature golf for next year. You know, future plans, a new bike track and a skate park. Next year, we're going to be announcing shortly the Rock in the River. We're going to be Rock in the Mountain. We have an agreement in place to have 3 concerts up there next year. So that park has become a real destination. We just put in 6 pickleball courts at St. Stan's, the largest facility at the time in Northeast Pennsylvania. Pine Street, that we just broke ground last week, putting in new play structures. The Can-Do Center City Park, we're going to move on to the next phase. If you can see, it's currently under construction. So we've been trying to improve all these playgrounds and parks. We'll be cutting the ribbon next week or the week after on Roosevelt Park. It was formerly 12th Ward. We totally bulldozed it out, and we put in all new play structures, and we have an artificial turf wiffle ball field. Under lights, you could play wiffle ball. It's going to be the next big sport. Some other municipalities already have.
You're
teams.
talking about Hazleton now, right?
In Hazleton, yes, it's the first of its kind. Wiffle
Wow.
ball. So we'll be cutting the ribbon on that. You know, we've been trying to stay ahead of the curve and bring in things that are hot and trendy. You know, when I put the pickleball courts in, what's pickleball? What's pickleball?
It's big now.
Well, now you see we have 10 courts throughout the city. So. You know, the playgrounds were very important. You know, we also, so not only can do a new park, the Shivo Park on 14th Street. You know, we turned the old ATM parking lot. I worked with Pasco on trying to improve it. He turned over the deed to it. So we have another new park there. So we're just really trying to give atmospheres that are good for everybody.
And you talk about working with people. I mean, you have the great family, Paul D'Angelo, and his wife and his family, and D'Angelo's, what they have been able to give back to this city is unbelievable. I mean, I applaud Paul and his wife for doing, working and when every time I think anyone asks Paul for anything in terms of for help with children, he's involved with autistic mission, and there's a lot of great things. And hats off to Paul D'Angelo and his wife and his family.
Yes, it's a great family. It really is. Now these parks are also no tax dollars. The City View Park, nearly $1 million between ARPA, donations from the All One Foundation, the D'Angelo family, and First Federal Foundation. They all came together for that one. The Roosevelt Park, all ARPA money. So we're getting all this work done without using tax money.
I'd like you have here the expanded recreation program include events for all ages, including the Easter Bunny Trail.
Yes, we have there.
No, what's the Easter Bunny Trail?
Up at City View Park.
Yeah.
The Easter Bunny Trail and the Trail of Treats are basically the same event 2 times a year. We got vendors to line up around the paved walking trail and hand out candy.
And now, Independence Day celebration, that's always good.
That's the 4th of July.
Yeah, you get tons of people.
Well over 1,000 people last year. It was huge. Again, we got together with the D'Angelo family, the donation of the fireworks, and the food vendors. the park is just becoming an amazing thing. Actually, we're working on putting our own concession stand in for the recreation department.
Now, is that open to every day? I mean,
Yes.
I know a lot of people take their dogs up there. For,
Well, the dog park itself is ran by a separate organization, but the park itself is open, and the new playground up there is packed all the time. But listen, we're really putting a lot of effort into making that a true destination.
and of course, I'm sure that's patrolled. And
Yes, the police
you have
department
cameras
goes-
up there as well.
We have cameras through it. We have the flock cameras up there also. So yes, it's pretty secure.
Okay, so you're Wyoming Street. Okay.
Well, don't forget about the Santa Claus parades.
Oh, that's right. Santa Claus. Yeah.
The Santa Claus parades. During COVID, we wanted to be able to bring Santa Claus to the people. So we had two nights that Santa Claus did split the city in half, and he went out there for hours with Mrs. Claus, and they threw candy out all over. Where the last year we had to make it to 3 nights. So 3 nights we went out in Santa Claus.
Throughout the city of Hazleton.
Throughout the city. We went up and down the roads giving candy out. And then at the end of it, we came to Memorial Park for a little Christmas village where we had huts set up, and there was vendors, and there was hot chocolate and music and pictures with Santa.
Wow.
So we're going to be doing that again this year. It was just a really great atmosphere.
What day is that? A couple
There's
days?
Sundays. Every Sunday in December, there'll be a Santa Claus parade, and then we'll be going to Memorial Park on the corner of Diamond and Church. And Santa Claus will be there for pictures with Santa Claus. Because not everybody can get out to see Santa Claus.
Yeah.
At the malls or get your pictures. So we want free pictures with Santa Claus. And, give
And
you
you
right
still get people donating the Christmas tree, right?
Yes, usually
still put
we do the Christmas tree. Usually Frank Vito and his family donate the Christmas tree at City Hall. We also planted a new Christmas tree at Memorial Park. So we'll have a forever Christmas tree at Memorial Park also. And then last year we combined with Can Do, the Chamber, the Downtown Alliance, and we had a huge Christmas tree lighting. That Santa Claus was there, and everything was together. The kids sang outside, the dancers. Then we went over to Can Do in the church, and we had the Can Do Christmas there. The Chamber had its mixers. We had vendors. So there's so many events out there that we tried to put together for
My
people.
God, Jeff, I never knew you had all this stuff going on. There's always something to do.
And then we did the New Year's Eve fireworks we started.
Yeah.
So they're earlier in the
So
year.
you have 2 sets. You have the Independence, and then you have
And the last night.
the last.
The last night. And they're earlier, so kids can enjoy them, and yet parents could still go out to eat.
From what people tell me, okay, it seems to be growing every year. There's
Yes.
more and more people coming and enjoying themselves, and it's safe.
Yes.
That's the most important thing, you see. Were you disappointed there wasn't a fun fest this year?
I was disappointed that it has run its course and it's going to be set aside. But, we are going to be looking to do other things now, up at City View Park. We'll do more vendor events with food trucks. And, we have so many events up there now that are similar to Fun Fest.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of organizations do their own events.
Yeah.
And it takes away from Fun Fest. So, it served its purpose. It was a great event for the city for 41 years.
Yeah.
So we just got to evolve into something else. We hired our first ever athletic director for the recreation department, where he is putting together basketball leagues and clinics, baseball clinics, wiffle ball leagues. He's working with all the groups to put together, try to bring back what was the Solo Sereni and the Sandlot Sluggers and just expand on that. We're working with the pickleball organization to put together events. So we have an actual athletic director to help with these programs. So it's
So that's the fun part, okay?
Yes.
Let's talk about cleaning up some of these buildings, these dilapidated buildings, and boy, that's where you got some challenges as well.
When I came into office, you would drive up and down, Wyoming Street, Alter, the business districts, Wyoming, Alter, and Broad, and it was just full of empty storefronts. And right now, the storefronts are almost all filled.
Is that right?
It's not what was there before, but they're popping up, jewelry stores and salons and boutiques and little shops. I mean, to me, it looks like it's 100 years ago, all the little family-owned businesses, and there's life back on Broad Street, Wyoming Street area, We've fixed the parking meters. We put in the updated kiosks. You can pay for parking with your app. We did the Feely parking lot over. We repaved that to give people somewhere to safely park, so they could go over to the Arts Center or the Can-Do Park. So a lot of the dilapidated areas in the business have come along. Properties are selling so fast and being updated that the blight's taking care of itself in most areas. But we did create the land bank. I started the land bank in 2013.
What is that?
It is a governmental entity that operates separately, that can take dilapidated properties either through donation, purchasing it, going to the tax sale. They could take them, they could either rehabilitate them, turn them over for any reason. But the important thing is they go back on the tax rolls. So a lot of properties that have been sitting vacant are now going back on the tax rolls. Properties that go into the tax sale and usually get purchased, then people find out what they are. They sit there for 2 more years, they go back on the tax sale. So this could put an end to all that. So the land bank goes into the tax sale, they have the trump bid, it's called. We want that property, we get it. And we take that property and we could either renovate it, sell it, turn it over, give it away to somebody that's gonna eventually get it back onto the tax rolls. So that's a great tool. Like I said, I started that in 2013, before I was even on city council. I started working with a group in Philadelphia that organized that. Finally, we got that passed, I believe in 2019 or 2020, somewhere we finally got it passed, and it is evolved and is now, I believe we have maybe $900,000 worth of assets in that entity.
Now, in terms of monitoring, the blight and people not taking care of their properties, and some unfortunate people have many more families in their homes that they should have. How are you policing that?
It's hard. We are working with the other utility companies, and we have the code enforcement and the zoning out on the streets looking. But we're all working together because we want to make sure everybody's safe.
Yes.
Having people living in the basement or an attic is very unsafe. And we don't want to have a catastrophe where after you put a fire out, think you did a good job. Here you find people trapped in the basement.
That's right.
So we are working. The post office helps with the number of mailboxes. The water authority with the water usage. The UGI with the number of gas meters on the side of the house. So we're all trying to work together to locate the missing residencies. I mean, we're still extremely outnumbered. Staffing needs are probably as high as they've ever been, but they're still lower than what we need. We have a big city out there. There's 10,400 properties in the city. A majority of them are not owner occupied, which means they're rentals. So it's very hard to get out there and do it. And then the process to handle complaints is very time consuming and tedious. The NOV process and the quality of life and citations. It's not as easy as people think.
Oh my gosh.
And you can't, no matter how much some of the other people say, I'm going to make them do something, I'm going to force them to do something, you can't. We can't go on somebody's property and cut their grass. Unless it's basically a vacant property that we know is not going to get taken, we can't go onto a property and cut the grass and then bill them and set in liens.
Well, then how do you correct? I mean, these out-of-town landlords that are not taking care of their properties, do they get fined? Is there a process there?
There's a process. You got to give them first. You got to give them a notice of violation. You got to make sure they get this notice of violation. Then you can eventually give them a citation, but you have to prove that they got the citation and prove that they got the. So we actually did hire a constable to go out now. So we have them making, because before we would send certified letters, and people just ignore them. So now we send a constable to your door, knock on your door. Yeah. More than likely, you're going to answer it. So we're hand serving them.
Mm-hmm. That's smart. Yeah. Very smart.
So it's been working, but a lot of people think you could just go and cut somebody's grass. You can't. We can't go on somebody's property. We have no right to trespass. We can't go in somebody's house and force them to let us inspect. Everybody has rights.
What is the budget, city budget?
Our city budget's hard to give a total number because we're split up and we have a lot of small budgets. Like we have the general fund budgets, maybe around $8 million. But then we have the airport budget. We have the recreation budgets, separate taxes. We have the The debt service is different. So our budget's hard to really put together and say our budget is, 30 million, 40 million, because, our garbage, which most municipalities put they put the garbage into their budget, but the city authority takes care of that. So it's really hard to say what our total overall budget is because we have so many small budgets.
Looking at the airport, boy, what an improvement up there. I mean, Dr. Kislin and his group, putting that fantastic place up there. I mean, the airport seems to be growing.
Well, the airport area up there, we are the only municipality in the state that owns its own transit and its own airport. Wow. The only one in the state. Our airport is growing. We have a worldwide airplane that's housed there for personal and business travel. And then we have going up across the street, a $30 million facility.
Yes.
We started that project in 2016.
What is that?
That's a bus. It's going to be a bus maintenance facility. We'll be cutting the ribbon on that in a few weeks also. That's where all of our busing equipment is stored all over the place now. So everything's going to be under one roof. We'll have complete control over security of it and maintenance of it. And that's the buses that go up and down Luzerne, Carbon, and Schuylkill County.
A lot of great things happening, Jeff. Huh?
There's a lot going on.
Folks, I'm talking to Mayor Jeff Cusat, running for re-election. A great opportunity to really let you hear what's going on, all the things that are happening. And yes, Hazleton is safe, my friends. They're doing the best that they can. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. If you just tuned in, very important show, especially if you live in the city of Hazleton. Mayor Jeff Cusat's on the show today, talking about all of the accomplishments and things that are happening in the city of Hazleton. Remember, he's up for re-election November 7th. Act 47, very beneficial to the city. Let's talk about that.
Going into it, I knew there was a lot of benefits from being in the program. It's a great program. We were able to get zero interest loans. We got a new computer system throughout the city. A lot of things that the city needed, they were given to us because we were Act 47.
What is Act 47?
It's where the state government says you're financially distressed.
Okay.
So it's that you need help and you need some help with guidance. So they come in and they listen to all your department heads and they look at your books and your ordinances and make recommendations. Mm-hmm. In the long run, there was 86 recommendations that were made. The city accomplished 81 of them. The other 5 were deemed not necessary. Mm-hmm. So we were out in the minimum amount of time possible. But there was so many benefits that came from it. But the biggest one is that they put you on the top of the grant list. So we were able to get so many grants because of the Act 47 status. We did a great job. We made some tough decisions. We had to pull back on some stuff. And so it was it was like an oversight. It was a good oversight. They came in and they helped you through some of the things. So,
now, with all this going on, you were able to eliminate taxes. See, I like to hear that.
We did. One of the things going through Act 47, in that program, we were 52% under what they suggested the taxes to be by the time we exited. That's how good we did through it. We made some very tough choices. We have the general fund taxes were under what we suggested, but then we also eliminated the per capita tax, the resident tax. Everybody always wanted the business tax. They always said how much it hurt businesses to come here because you were paying the business privilege tax. We eliminated that. We eliminated the rental registration fees. And now we're going to be looking to lower the earned income tax for upcoming 2024.
So you're making it more appealing.
Yeah, we're making it more appealing for businesses to come
yeah.
here, for people to come live here. So that's the goal, is we want people to come here, stay here. But we're moving forward, so we can't look back. We're looking forward to the future. A lot of times people talk about giving the LRTA tax breaks to companies coming in.
Yeah.
But we give those. Now, just for an example, is Samsung came in. We had negotiated with a lot of companies to come in, but Samsung, we were finally able to give them a good enough sales pitch that they came here. So they do have a 10-year tax break. But that property just sold for $150 million. So when their LRTA is over, that $150 million, if it's assessed at that value, will be 15% of the taxes for the city will be coming from that one property.
But one of the concerns always was like sometimes the city of Hazleton was landlocked and how did you expand and get businesses and taxes? It seems that you're on the right path of in different areas where you're doing developments. You have the different tax bases increasing, so you are growing within the city.
We are. We are growing we're in areas that I never thought we can.
Yeah.
You know, we're doing so many things that even people will never realize that we're doing. You know, like we did the codification for the first time.
The what?
The codification of our code. So people, since 2002, the zoning ordinance, we updated from the first time since 1996. You know, we did a comprehensive plan we're in the middle of now. First time since 1988 that it's been worked on. I did a comprehensive plan of the entire area for the parks and recreation. You know, and now I'm doing an environmental study for all the brownfield areas. So there's a lot of things out there that we're doing that nobody will ever even know that we did.
And that, here again, there's so much that's involved inside. I mean, you're looking at all these things that you've done. It's amazing. You do the recycling, you know.
We started doing an annual electronic recycling and paper shredding event. You know, the things that you can't easily get rid of the electronics anymore because the garbage men won't take them. And if you take them to go to the recycle center, you pay a fortune to get rid of a TV. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we try to do it. We just had one last week. We have a paper shredding event coming up in November. Just stuff like that, the little things that make it easier for people to live here.
So what are you focusing on right now? If you're elected mayor of Hazleton, what are the things you've been focusing on? You'll be focusing on.
Just trying to make the city more attractable for people to come into it. You know, there's what we had, and what they want. So that's why the comprehensive plan is good because they tell you what we want. And it's you know, we begin to these meetings and people are like, well, we want to see this and we want to see that, and like we already have that. So maybe we need better communications out there. You know, like one of the biggest things we had up here at the Laurel Mall was like we want bus routes to the factories. Like, well, we changed that 3 years ago. Our buses will offer right to the door of your factory in Humboldt and Valmont. Like, so we have stuff that people want. You know, people are looking for special playground areas. We have those.
Here is another area. I'm looking at this, and I was very active with this when I was the chairman of the board of the college. Grant money. You know, you're actively working all the time in your different divisions in grant money. I don't want to take that assumption. I'm almost positive you are working on these different.
We've brought in nearly $100 million in grants, federal funding, and projects that were turned over to the city. So we're out there looking for everything. But you know, a lot of people don't realize that when you do get a grant, that it's for a very specific project, sometimes for a specific area. You can't just say, hey, I got a grant for this, and why aren't you paving the streets with it? Or why can't you fix this? I mean, the grant opportunity is open for, you know, this kind of an area, this project in that area. So we might as well take it if we can get it. You know, yes, we want our roads fixed. We want buildings knocked down. But if that grant's not available, I'll take what I can get and we'll utilize it. You know, it's the same thing with, like, say, some of the community development money. People are like, why can't this playground be worked on? Like Lom Avenue, beautiful playground up by Heights Terrace School. It's not in the community development zone, so we can't use that funding for it. You know, but what we're doing is we're helping the school apply for a second LSA grant to put a brand new playground in on school property. So maybe we can't do something on our property, but we could help the school put a new playground in there so those children could use that park, and then we'll slowly try to renovate Lom Avenue Park. So it's not like we're neglecting anything, but there's limitations you could utilize for certain monies that are out there. I mean, we're trying to bring money in everywhere we can. You know, we brought building inspector. First time we had our own building inspector, brought in nearly $2 million in the last couple of years. We outsourced the towing franchise. It's going to bring in nearly $1 million by the time the contract is over. So we're out there looking for any kind of money we can save. Or we're creating a restricted surplus fund so we could use it as a tax anticipation note. You know, so instead of taking a loan every year and costing $50,000 to $80,000, we have our own fund set aside. Now we loan ourselves the money, so we're saving that $50,000 to $80,000. It's like all those little things.
Add up.
It's like being in business for yourself. You know, my uncle always said you got to watch the pennies; the dollars take care of themselves.
Yes.
So we're out there, and that's the way I make everybody use coupons when they go on Staples and Sam's Club and Amazon. So we use all that stuff to try to save money for for the future. We brought the new senator, Argel, and Representative Wattrell, we brought them back into our building. So for the first time, we have a senator and a state rep in a city building. We own the federal building on Cedar and Broad. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be making some more announcements of other entities coming back to the city. That it's going to be huge for the city and the people that live here. So we're doing so many little things to create an atmosphere where people want to be.
When we did our survey with Susquehanna, we needed to find out facts, and we learned a lot from that. Some things you think you're good, and then we asked not we, but they did, Susquehanna, because we had nothing to do with it. What are the areas that you would want more of? Okay, in terms of local neighborhood programs, and they listed for us what they want more of. What do you think the city, if you did a survey and the citizens of Hazleton, what do you think they would ask you for, or what they would be looking for? What do you would think that would be on the top of their?
Well, everything I think they're looking for, I think we've been working on. Yeah. That's why the comprehensive plan is so important, because people tell us what they want.
Yes.
So years ago, I wouldn't have known if people didn't say, hey, we want pickleball.
Yeah.
Like, we wouldn't have known that such a thing existed. And things like that, we could only know so much, or think people want something so much. So until they actually tell us what they want, that's why this comprehensive plan is so valuable to be, and that's, again, the Act 47 allowed us to do this. And instead of just doing for the city, I reached out to West Hazleton and Hazel Township so we could do a comprehensive plan. So it's more grant opportunities for all of us, because it's in writing as a plan. So the 3 municipalities should be able to utilize that plan as the tool to get grants.
Folks, I'm talking to Jeff Cusat, running for re-election in the city of Hazleton. This is a show, it's a special edition, as you know. You can tell it's an hour show. Jeff's talking about all the things that have been done and things that I'm learning about today. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Very important show. Jeff Cusat, Mayor of Hazleton, running for re-election, talking about a number of things. And the show, runs many times. But go to YouTube, go to our website. You'll see the full show. Jeff, a while back there was, you started off, the Hazleton was like the laughing stock, because you go to city council meetings, there was screaming and yelling and wackos all over the place. People just had personal agendas, and they would attack people just, were vicious. Boy, you've cleaned that up, okay? You've cleaned that up in terms of working. Sure, people disagree with you, okay? But you're doing it in a civil manner, and I have to compliment you for that, because, it was bad for the image. It was like many years the school board, which was another disaster. Thank God we don't have that anymore. So these are some of the things I'm sure you're going to continue, right? Yeah,
we're continuing. I have a great working relationship with City Council now. I hope that continues. They have an election coming up also. So I'm hoping any of the new members coming or ready to support some of the visions that I have. There's a lot going on. There's so much progress. We just need to kind of continue that. Like I said, I'm not the guy that's going to get up there in front of a large group of people, give an inspirational speech and stand there and give emotional ridicule and yell and scream and carry on. But what I do is I gather the information. I make solid decisions based on facts and financial positions. Hazleton is still a great place to live. It raised a family. We stay here, stay focused, and continue the progress that has been accomplished.
Yeah, and I think, once again, the perception sometimes is worse because people perceive things. But, I think it's getting better. When you look at downtown Hazleton and you look at some of the development, I think it's getting better.
Somebody said it the other day, and it really kind of put it together for me. He goes, under you, Hazleton has a soul again. Mm-hmm. And it really made me feel good that, and I thought about that, and I'm really means something. Yeah.
Well, you've been in business here in Hazleton. Your family's been here for a long time. You make great food, incidentally. Folks, Jeff Cusat, running for re-election, November 7th. Once again, if you live in Hazleton, this is a must-see show for you, because we cover all of the areas. He covers all of the areas. Truly, as much as I'm informed, I didn't realize half of these things and what was happening in Hazleton. We'll see you next time.